Let's bring in Arash Madani because, and I appreciate this. I'd like to have him on every day if we could. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing?
Good. So you said you have a perspective on Hank's first ballot induction into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. What is it?
Well, I just think a lot of people are going to talk about the football story of Henry Burris. And I think what so much of this is, Rod, is also the story of our Canada. I mean, Henry Burris was undrafted coming out of school, a kid from Oklahoma, and he gets a call from a football team in a country he doesn't know, in a province. He'd probably never even heard of what a province is before. And he comes up for a chance to work. Like so many people who have come to Canada from so many different countries who have just arrived here for an opportunity. They're unsure of what lies ahead. They're not quite aware of what the culture is going to be like, what they're actually getting involved in from a work perspective. Henry had never played three-down football before, let alone heard of it. There were hiccups along the way. There were speed bumps along the way. He and his now wife, Nicole, were together then. Think of what they dealt with. Ups and downs, relocations, but the two of them were committed to succeed for a better life for each other and the family that they started. And together over 18 years in this new country they now call home, they became champions 3 times. They became citizens of this country. They're fixtures in their communities. In Calgary, Henry was running charity events. In Ottawa, he was on local television upon retirement and involved heavily in the community there. And now, together, the family of 4 are headed to the Hall of Fame. And I've run into Henry a few times in Toronto when he's here for TV reasons. Nicole and Barron and Armand are here with him. The family comes along. And whenever I see him at Grey Cups or whatever else to say, hey, what's going on? He has this big smile and he's like, I'm a hockey dad now. His kids are more into hockey than they are football. They have become entrenched as Canadians, like so many who come to this country for an opportunity, the unknown of what lies ahead. And the Burris family has done it. And, the Hall of Fame is the final brushstroke on just a remarkable football career, but a real Canadian story.
It is. Well said. And you know what, Hank? He's a special person. He's a special person. But will this Hall of Fame induction take the chip off his shoulder? Because, man, that's what he's lived and died by his whole career.
But why? What's the need? I don't understand why that's a negative thing. If that chip led to an 18-year career that led to 3 championships that took him to the Hall of Fame, what's the issue, Roddy?
The issue is he hasn't spoken to me for 2 weeks since I said it's between Bo Levi and Ricky Ray for the top quarterback of the 2010s. That's the point. I'm like, Hank, get over it. Hey?
What about Mike Riley?
Oh, yeah, sure. Right. I know you love this debate as much as I do. To the real...
He's right there.
Oh, I know he's right there, but don't get so upset that maybe not everybody sees it that way. That's all. So the current state of the CFL, what the owners are selling, what the players are selling, where are you on day 126?
I just want to mention one more thing about the Hall of Fame, because he's not going to get his due the way the pros do. That's just the nature of the beast. But I grew up in Nova Scotia, and Larry Uteck is part of the 2020 Hall of Fame class as a builder. And I dare say that he's not just a builder, but a pillar for Canadian football, for the history of Canadian football. And he is a giant in the game. Growing up in Nova Scotia, Larry Uteck was the coach of St. Mary's University. The great Chris Flynn was there. They were larger than life for an entire generation. And Larry, unfortunately, his life was cut short because he was diagnosed with ALS and ultimately died because of complications of Lou Gehrig's disease. But Clark, I think we have a photo of the 2001 Vanier Cup. Look at that picture over there. Larry at that time was in a wheelchair. He had, he was not in good health, and he was not the coach of the team anymore. But look at the joy the players have to celebrate winning that national championship with him. Roddy, when you think about suburbs in this country, in Vancouver, there's Abbotsford and Richmond. For Calgary, there's Airdrie, Toronto, Mississauga, or Brampton. When you go to Halifax, yes, Bedford and Sackville officially are suburbs, but when you speak with people, you say, hey, where do you live anyway? They say, oh, I live I live around Larry Uteck. Larry Uteck Boulevard has now become almost its own place in Halifax, its own reference point. And the legacy that he leaves behind in Eastern Canada, he also played for the Alouettes, is significant. He is a builder, he is a pillar, he is a fixture and a giant in Canadian football. And I am thrilled. The 9-year-old in me, who grew up idolizing St. Mary's University football, is overjoyed for Larry Uteck, his wife Sue, and the people there, because Larry was immense for his contributions to the game.
Sure. Well, for many, he is the biggest name in the 2020 class, and I'm glad that you explained that for everybody. Now to the current CFL. How do you feel about where we sit here in late July?
Well, I just don't see it happening, Rod. Late July. I mean, the time is running out on this thing. There are government programs that are available for the CFL to take advantage of, but then they'd have to commit. They'd have to commit to players. They'd have to commit to staff. And at this stage, logistically, I just don't see how they're going to get it off the ground. There are people, Rod, quietly, who will tell you it's not the right thing to do from a logistic and safety standpoint. And also, what is an American player coming up here for? I thought Tony Washington's tweet was bang on. If you're an entry level, if you're on the rookie wage scale, you're going to walk home with $9,000 if you play all games in a non-guaranteed contract. I really believe this. And I know your thoughts on this is out of sight, out of mind. I'm not with you there. I actually believe the CFL right now, if they pull the plug on 2020, they have now given themselves a 4-month head start, a larger runway to focus on 2021 and to get their business together. And to force a CBA down the players' throats, it's dirty business and it's wrong business. They now have an opportunity for long-term stability and to really get the health of the league in order. And the focus should be on next season, not this.
Cool, but who's going to get them to get their house in order? And what does that look like? I just feel like not everybody can agree on what the next CFL will look like and what they need to get to. That's my biggest fear.
Sure. No, and that's fair. But regardless, you're going to be in that situation whether you play or you don't, aren't you?
Right. Well, we're talking about current decision makers versus the next ones. That's all. And on the players not being paid, how do you feel about that fact here in week 6? They haven't got any money in their hands yet.
Well, it's wrong. It's wrong. And, and this is the issue. The owners and the leadership folk in CFL teams have long shown that they have very little regard for the players unless they absolutely need them. And you saw that with Randy Ambrosie going in front of the House Finance Committee back in May, that there was no real dialogue leading into it because he didn't think he needed them. And now, because of the tactics they're using with forcing a CBA down their throats and reducing the salary cap for next year, Rod, I'm getting the sense that the league is thinking about 2021 and beyond. And their primary mission is not to get football off the ground this year. Look, if they announce tomorrow we want to play in 2020, how much is needed just to make this happen? It's not like you can say, all right, let's just fly everybody up here and go. You need to get 8 teams relocated into a city. How are you going to run training camps? Where are your meeting rooms? Where are your practice fields? How are you going to feed them? Where are you going to lodge them? How is this all going to work? Especially when you have some of your staff still furloughed and not working right now with different teams. So what the CFL is doing right now is they're just continuing to show their complete disregard for players themselves. What has the league office done to help players out, to be committed to trying getting them CERB or any other government program? The answer is nothing. The answer is nothing. And if you don't believe it, here we are in late July now, and the pandemic really officially, if you want to say, began in March. 4 months have transpired. What has Randy Ambrosie done for the players? What has Wade Miller, Scott Mitchell, Rick Lawlish, or on, and you can go with the team presidents. What have they done to commit to the players to make sure they're taken care of? Rod, from my seat, I don't know about yours, the answer is nothing.
That's a major concern for the CFL and its fans, optics as well, but also for the players. Hey, and good rant, by the way, in the time we have left, the Blue Jays, how did it feel to see, it was Bo Bichette went yard the other night, right, in the intra squad? What's coming here for the TBJ?
A lot of unknown. I'll tell you what, Roddy, I was there on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. It was eerie and weird. You're in a 50,000-seat stadium that's just empty. It's an intra-squad game going back and forth. They played 5 innings. Glorified scrimmages. And the Jays right now still don't know where their home games are going to be. They do not have government approval to play regular season games here yet. Opening day is 8 days from now. California is in a modified lockdown again. 4 Major League franchises are there. Florida's a downright mess. Texas is a disaster, and it's all virus-related. So there are so many questions with baseball moving forward of how they're going to make 60 games work, how they're going to make this thing fly as they travel from place to place. So, from a baseball standpoint, there are some good stories going on with the Jays. It's a young team. Bichette looks great. Jordan Romano is a kid from suburban Toronto, is basically entrenched in the 8th inning role. He is throwing heat, fastball, slider, the heater's going 97, 99 miles an hour. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is looking comfortable at the plate. They've moved him over to first base. On and on, we can talk about the baseball side of things. Roddy, I just don't know if they're going to play 60 games. A little inside TV note for you. Last night I wrote a feature about, it was inevitable that the season was going to stop, right? Because of all the different COVID-related issues, the virus-related issues, the cases. I have to be prepared, and we want to have a feature ready to rock should that message come down. And at this point, I think if we're being honest, it is a coin flip, 50-50, if the entire Major League Baseball season is played.
Well, we hang in the balance, live one day at a time, and follow your coverage for sure. Arash, great report today. Appreciate the time, sir.
Always good, fellas. Thanks, Roddy.
Arash Madani from Toronto with lots to think about, CFL-wise, certainly Major League Baseball-wise. It's not like this is new. 126 days into the pandemic, you follow the coverage, you get all excited about what may be coming, and then it's... But the MLS is playing. Mm-hmm. They've done it, and the NHL's in camp, so...
You're watching Rod Pedersen on demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.